Hello, I'm Don Gibson, the Marshfield Town Moderator, and I'm sitting here with Michael Moresco, the Town Administrator, Bob Galvin, Town Council, and Tony Riley, Assistant Town Council, to go over with you the warrant for the special town meeting, which is going to be held on Monday evening at 7 p.m. That is October 17th, and I am so pleased to tell you we are back in the auditorium at the high school. We're not in the high school gym. We're back in the auditorium. It's a much more comfortable setting. The sight lines are much better. I enjoy being there, and the seats are very, very comfortable. Before we get started on the warrant, though, I do want our town administrator to let you know about any COVID-related concerns that you might have.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Moderator, and welcome to people tuning in. Town meeting will be fun. We're doing everything possible to make sure that it's a safe environment for folks. The area is very well cleaned. We will have, for those folks that want to get up and speak on a particular article, there will be boxes of plastic bags to put over the microphone. If you use a plastic bag and you put it over the microphone, we just ask that you dispose of your plastic bag when you're through speaking. There'll be a trash barrel for you to put it in. There's plenty of seats. There's over 700 seats, so you don't have to sit on top of one another. They're going to keep the auditorium relatively cold to keep it comfortable. If you think you're going to be cold, by all means, bring a sweater or a jacket. And it should be a fun evening, as the moderator mentioned. It's much more comfortable in a much more professional setting to have to do the town's business.
So, this is my 6th year as town moderator, and I cannot recall a special town meeting warrant when there are only 14 articles on the warrant. And it's going to be my goal, objective, and I think your desire to get the special town meeting accomplished in one evening. So with your assistance, I think we can do that. And who knows, maybe we will out of there well before 10:30 if everyone cooperates. So we're going to go through the 14 articles at this particular point in time, and I'll be calling on the town administrator and town council and assistant town council to comment on certain aspects of this. Please, please, please do us all a favor. You've seen these before. I don't have the color copy, but this is the warrant. It is available online. If you go to marshfield.gov, you can get copies at town hall. I believe there are copies still at the library. Are there still copies at the library?
And at town hall, and we'll have them here that evening also.
So please do your homework. You've been so good about that. Do your homework ahead of time. If there are charts or that you have to be referred to, they'll be at the rear of the warrant. So if everyone's informed, the meeting goes much more quickly and with a minimum of confusion. All right, so article number 1. We see this all the time. Michael, tell us about article number 1.
Mr. Moderator, this is a very typical article. This is for bills that came due after the close of the fiscal year, and because it's after the close of the fiscal year, they have to go on the warrant. Town meeting needs to approve them so that they can be paid, and I believe it's a 9/10 vote.
That's correct. All right, the amount $6,265.89. I'm not going to have a consent agenda this meeting because we have so few articles on the warrant. But in years past, I've put articles like this on the consent agenda. I don't expect any debate, and I hope that we'll get past that one in short order. Article number 2, tell us about that.
This is a very standard article. Anyone coming to the fall special town meeting sees this. This deals with bylaw employees. As folks know, our union employees, we have collective bargaining agreements for them, and we give our bylaw employees whatever the union gets in that particular fiscal year for their contract. So the last year of the contract is 3%, so we are asking town meeting to approve the 3% for the bylaw employees.
All right, on to Article 3. Explain that one to us, Michael, and how does that article please differ in any respects from what you just discussed on Article 2?
So Schedule B is for part-time and seasonal employees, and we're adding 2 categories, which is why the chart's in its entirety there. We're adding animal inspector to the chart. Animal inspector, there are actually 2 of them. The animal inspectors are required to go out, and I think it's 179 barns, believe it or not, in Marshfield. And the animal inspectors go out, they inspect the barns, and they have to do the annual census of animals broken down by the types of animals that they are. This year, we also had to take over providing the sealer of weights and measures. The Commonwealth notified me in March of this year that they noticed that Marshfield's population was over 20,000. If your population is less than 20,000, the Commonwealth pays to send a weights and measure person. And if someone's wondering what is weights and measures, every time you go to the supermarket to buy cold cuts, that scale needs to be inspected. You go get gas, they inspect the pumps to make sure that you actually get a gallon. If you go to the transfer station and you pay to throw, you drive up on the scale to make sure that that scale works. So we had to hire our own weights and sealer of measures. It's $5,000 per year, so we added that to our Schedule B.
All right. Before we leave that, I just want to give a little tip of the hat to the town administrator and the local government, municipal government of Marshfield. It's my understanding, are we back hosting a regional site for flu injections?
Yes, we are.
Could you explain that?
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. So during the parts of the year where it's slow, we operate the clinic at Town Hall up on the second floor, but about 3 weeks ago, we reopened at the fairgrounds. We're offering Pfizer and Moderna, the new vaccine, which prevents which helps you deal with the Omicron version of COVID. We're operating out of the fairgrounds on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays from 9 to 3. And as an added bonus, we're also giving flu shots. So you can go to the fairgrounds during those days and those times and either get, for the first time, your COVID vaccine or a booster or the new COVID medication, or you can get a flu shot, and it's all free.
Do they need an appointment?
We recommend an appointment. We've been getting about 200 people a day now, so if you want to go to marshfieldkias.com, you can make an appointment, but if you show up, we don't turn anyone away, and we're giving away free home test kits to people that show up.
Outstanding. Article number 4.
Article number 4, this is so as folks who were at the annual, we go out and borrow for our capital needs, and when we went out to market, we get a bond premium. The bank that's select to do our investment gives the town back a premium on the note. And this year, based on our borrowing for a couple of things, we got $459,417.55. And that goes into an infrastructure account, which doesn't dissipate at the end of the fiscal year like a free cash account or other accounts, that it revolves back to the general fund. Because this is infrastructure, it only can be used on infrastructure projects. That goes into an account, and that money is then managed by the facility department. And where a school or a town building needs some infrastructure repairs, then we draw down from this money.
Right, I think an important point, as you indicated, and I want all town meeting members to understand, it doesn't go back into the general fund. It's earmarked, it's designated, can only be used for that particular purpose. Article number 5, we see some of these, an article similar to this at the annual town meeting in the spring, where we have our operating budget and our capital budget. But Michael, explain what's going on here.
So this is a standard free cash article, and as I mentioned many times, I don't necessarily like the term free cash, but that is how the state designates this as free cash. So what is free cash? Free cash is when we put the budget together, it's about 18 months out when we start to assemble the numbers, and it's hard to project. So you have to project into the future what you think those costs are, and then once the budget's appropriated, the individual department heads then have to work to make sure that we get the best value for our dollar. And when you do that, sometimes you have money left over, and it's certified by the Commonwealth, and that's what this free cash is. Now, the Commonwealth says that you should have, somewhere between 3 and 5% if you're doing a good job. And for the last 5 or 6 years, we've been hitting that, right in that range of 3 to 5%. And this is money that's already been appropriated, and it's at no cost to the taxpayers. So the money's there. If we didn't have that free cash, these are all important things that we need to cover. We are a big business, and we need to cover these expenses. And these expenses, if we didn't have the free cash, then this would be an added cost to the taxpayers.
Let me just take a moment. When you look at your warrants and you start to study them, you're going to see the description of the request. You're going to see the amount of the free cash involved, and then you're also going to see the additional sources: water retained earnings, wastewater retained earnings, solid waste retained earnings, and then the total. And then there's a column that says transfer to. Can you explain that column
So that
for me?
transfer to, so that money ties out to a general ledger account. So that is the general ledger account. And then if they don't tie to a general ledger account, then they tie to like a special article.
All right. And we will try to go through these, or I will try to go through these with your help and assistance and cooperation as quickly as we can. There are 32 of them, if I'm not mistaken. And the process is going to be, we'll read, we'll go each of them. You are entitled as a town meeting member, if you have a question on a particular amount, just say question, or you can use the word hold. But I ask you as a moderator, please speak up so that we can hear you. We don't want to be in a position after we get to the bottom of the article and we're voting and someone says, well, I spoke up on number 8. Well, I didn't hear you. So make certain it's loud, as I tell high school students when I'm before them, say it loud, say it proud, so we'll know which ones have to go back. We will vote then on each of the ones that weren't challenged or there was no questions, and then we'll come back.
Just want me to quickly go through, so
If you
people are
would,
listening,
please.
they'll be prepared. Okay.
I think it would be helpful, and Michael made a good suggestion. Let's just go through each of these quickly. I know that there's 32 of them, but I think it'd be better if you have an understanding now what each one pertains to.
Okay, so select board, we have a personnel person retiring. We have to go through the process to hire a new person. So this article will cover the training, so for a period of a couple of months we'll be carrying an additional person, and the person that's retiring, under our contract, people are entitled to their vacation, to their personal time, stuff like that. So that article anticipates that and will cover that. The next one, professional services, that's during the course of business. You know, we'll have a legal issue that comes up. I've got to hire a surveyor. I have to hire a preservation planner or something like that. Those are professional services. That's what that covers. It gives me the ability to be able to bring somebody in to do that type of work. The police salary and fire salary, that's to cover some additional overtime in the fire department in particular. That will allow them to run the 30 ambulance for 10 hours a day, 7 days a week, through the remainder of the fiscal year. On fire stipends, we have a couple of mechanics that approached the chief, and they wanted and they began working on doing some of the work that's not covered by a guarantee from when we buy the new fire trucks and ambulances, and those are stipends for 2 of the firefighters and some additional equipment. The gas, just like anyone else, gas and diesel fuel. When we put the budget together, gas prices were lower. Now the gas prices are higher. They've sort of leveled off, but they'll continue to go up. So this is extra money that we need to make sure that we have adequate gas and diesel to cover the plows, the police vehicles, the ambulances, etc. So that will take care of that. Veterans Park, it's additional money to cover the extra weeding, cleaning, leaf raking, so that the park stays in pristine condition. Utilities, number 8, utilities, oil, gas, and electric. People saw electric's pegged to go up about 40%, natural gas about 20%. So this covers, we sort of reviewed our bills, looked at where we need to be. Based on that, we need about $75,000 to cover us. The next item is the CRS PPI pamphlet. That is the insurance for folks that are on the water. This is a great pamphlet that's put together by the town. And it goes to the realtors to give out to people that are buying property in those areas. Hazard mitigation plan, we just wrapped up the old hazard mitigation. We're now working on a new hazard mitigation. We identified those areas during a big coastal storm that would be affected. Hazard mitigation also gets into how do you warn people, what do you do for preparation, other things that need to be done. We had to hire a consultant. We hired Woods Hole once again. They've done a great job, and that $25,000 will cover that. These people have seen now for the last 5 or 6 years, school and town maintenance, $200,000 each. This goes to facilities to help maintain You know, people, when we were going through building the new high school, people were very upset, very vocal. They felt as though the town was not doing a good job taking care of their buildings. When I got here as a town administrator, I committed with the support of the Board of Selectmen that we'd be investing every single year in maintenance money to make sure that we could properly maintain the buildings. And this is not major construction. This is like fixing a broken door, broken window, broken pads, tiles that come up, paper dispensers in the bathrooms that don't work, things like that. Cleaning contract. We have great buildings. We've got to keep them clean. We went out to bid. The lowest bidding contract when we went out because of the market was $60,000 more than what we were originally paying. So this will cover the difference between that, and this is to cover the cost of Town Hall, the rec, the library, and the police station. Next is item number 14. It's the airport. It's a grant match. The feds are doing a $6 million grant to the airport. This is part of ongoing maintenance. No, they are not making the runways any longer. This is to resurface, dig up, resurface. The runways are there and put them back to the same lengths.
Taxiways, I think.
Taxiways, yep, taxiways, runways, parking facility, and there's a fourth category, and the town's match is $350,000. People say, why is the town matching it? The town actually owns the airport. They own the land. It's managed by Shoreline Aviation. We hire a professional company to manage the airport. We don't have the prerequisite skills to be running airports. Item 15, tree cutting for conservation land. You know, the town government, you know, we have a responsibility to maintain our conservation land, just like businesses need to maintain their property. We've been negligatory in that. This past January, we had that January 29th storm. A lot of trees came down that were dead on conservation land, took wires down, put people in jeopardy without power. So we're doing a pilot agreement where we have this money appropriated to cut trees down, and DPW will augment this with having their folks do this on the weekends with overtime going in and you know, identifying and cutting down with a sign off from the tree warden of which trees need to be taken down. Item 16, police bulletproof vests. Vests only have a 5-year life expectancy, so we're buying new vests, and that's $26,000. Harbor Master boat equipment, we got the new boat last year because when we went out to market, that was the beginning of the rise in cost of goods. That came in so much higher, we couldn't put on the add-on features and equipment requested and required by the Harbor Master, so we're hoping to do that now, and that's what the $17,000 covers. Harbor Master ramps and ice, we're doing additional improvements at Ridge Road, Damon's Point, and other places. And the Harbor Master received a grant for an ice machine that will be extremely beneficial to the commercial fishermen. We're only one of 3 locations on the coast that will have it. However, we have to conform with the rules and regulations like home builders, and we have to raise that 4 feet, and we have to have it on a platform. So that's what the money will take care of, the platforms and ramps and stuff like that. School generator, electric work. We're putting generators into 4 schools: Daniel Webster, Governor Winslow, Amesway, and South River. This covers the cost of the generator, but the larger portion of that money is the electrical upgrades that need to be done in those buildings to make them accept the generator and be able to manage the power safely. Item number 20, this will be this is important for Grant Rock residents, is what they've been waiting for. This is the bullnose design. This is the final design. That's for $120,000, and that will get the DPW to advance on that project. Item 21, DPW storm water mapping is just that. DPW is mapping all of their water pipes. Next one, item 22, DPW crane. That is a crane that goes on the outside of their building, and it's used to lift the sanding components in and out of the big dump trucks or the back of the dump trucks off of one another. And it runs the length of the building, and it can operate out of 4 or 5 of their open areas. Veterans Wall maintenance, that's at the South River Park. There's the wall of people that went and served our country. They're up on the wall. This $11,000, that needs to have some maintenance done to it. Also needs to have names corrected, and we also need to add more names to it, so the $11,000 will cover that. Library rug and asbestos removal. We've been looking to try to replace the rug. It's the original rug in the library. Library does a fantastic job, but you know, on the ongoing to replace the rug, we had to always do asbestos. We found out there were hot spots. We're going to have to remove the asbestos now to keep the building safe. And the rug process is kind of tedious. So we have to have a moving company come in. They have to pack up all the books, take down all the stands, move the stuff, put it in storage. Then they come in, they take up the rug, they do the asbestos removal, they put the new rug down, and the movers come back, and that's for $448,000. Library generator, we made use of the generator that was left at the old police station. That was about 8 or 10 years old. It had about another 15 years of life expectancy, so I had that moved over to the library.
All right, and as you get to these next set of items, 26 through 32, I see that it's not under the free cash column. You'll see the appropriations either coming from the retained earnings, for water retained earnings, wastewater retained earnings, or solid waste retained earnings. Can you just explain generally why that's happening and the money's not coming from quote unquote free cash?
It is free cash, but it's their free cash from water retained earnings. It sort of works the same way, but DPW has the retained earnings, and that is how you offset ratepayer versus taxpayer. Retained earnings are ratepayers, so people that pay their water bill, pay their trash bill, pay their sewer bill, and anyone that has a transfer sticker. So that's where you get the retained earnings. And when they spend out of those accounts, they can also accumulate free cash. It's certified by the Commonwealth. And then these are how the DPW wants to spend their free cash under those retained earnings.
All right, so just briefly run through there.
Sure. So what they want to do, number 26, is a utility truck. That's a versatile truck. It's like a pickup body, but on the back end of it, it has all kinds of compartments to keep the tools that they need. And that would be funded out of water retained earnings because it's for the water department. Water mapping, this is a continuation of mapping of all the water pipes because it deals with water. That will come out of water retained earnings. They want to replace the water main onto Dyke Road crossing. And that's $125,000, so that will come out of water retained earnings. Number 29 is for a TV camera truck, and that is a truck that has the camera that goes through the sewer pipe, because I don't think anyone wants to jump in the sewer pipe to take a look at it. So they actually have a truck and a camera setup that does it. It's $125,000. That will come out of wastewater retained earnings. A Ray Pack heater is a heater for out in the garage area that mounts up on the wall. And that's in the wastewater facility plant, so that's why it's coming out of wastewater. And then they have a water pump that needs to be upgraded. That's $45,000 related to SORP, so that will come out of wastewater. And finally, the excavator is on its last leg at the transfer station. The excavator plays an important role in moving anyone that goes and throws stuff into the building. The excavator moves the stuff around, loads it into the trailer trucks, moves all the other stuff. So it's a vital piece of equipment, and they'll be paying for that out of solid waste retained earnings.
So you look at the total figure after we go through all 32 items, it's $3,658,216. But as you explained, this money is already there. There's no tax increase associated with any of this. So it's important to remember when you're voting on it on Monday evening that this does not obligate or result in an increase in taxes as far as
that is correct.
Citizens are concerned. All right, article number 6.
Okay, article number 6 is an article brought forth by the schools. The schools, some people may have heard of this, they would like to purchase 255 Furnace Street, which was the Coptic Church property, and that was designed by the Coptic Church to be a pre-K. It's set up for pre-K. The schools want to buy it. They agreed upon a price of $1,025,000. You had to have some soft cost in, so the actual payout will be about $1,040,000. And the schools want to fund that note, that borrowing, out of their operational funds. They don't want to do a debt exclusion. They would like to pay that out of their operating money. What the selectmen have agreed to is an MOU. Town council will draft an MOU.
Explain that, please.
So it's a memorandum of understanding, but I'll
It's
let
an
Bob.
intra-departmental memorandum of understanding between the town and the school department that the school department will pay from its budget the costs associated with this borrowing.
All right. So, town meeting members, it's important that you understand that as the town administrator and town council have indicated, this is coming out of school funds, and the schools are not asking for a debt exclusion override or any type of override. They're going to pay it through the funds that they have available for this particular purpose. And at town meeting, just for my information, who's going to be presenting this article?
The select board will present, and then questions will be answered by the schools.
Okay, fine. All right, article number 7.
Article number 7 is a Housing Authority Community Preservation article. This is a really important article. This community preservation is funding generators to be installed at T-Rock and Grace Ryder, which we have some of our most vulnerable citizens living in. And this was a major problem in the January 29th storm this past year. Power went out. There were a number of folks that live there that have those automatic oxygen machines.
Sure.
They needed electricity. The electricity was out for quite a while. We had to bring the ambulances down there to run some power because they were equipped with generators to help folks. So community preservation wants to be able to help these two housing locations with the installation of generators. In this article, I believe the cost is $100,000.
All right, well, it's certainly understandable under the circumstances, given the weather we've been having recently. Article number 8.
This is an article dealing with Harbor Park and Brant Rock. It's about it's clearing and reconstruction of the overgrown trail, restoring the overgrown trail at the DSA site. That's the site for waste disposal from dredging. And we just recently had the test done. The town, in cooperation with DEP, had it tested. I did get a call yesterday from the harbor master. Test results were back. There were no toxins found. Everything meets the standards. So we'll be talking more about that at town meeting.
Article number 9.
Article number 9, DPW has this article because when they had the sewer pipe break on Plymouth Avenue, they had to deplete their reserve fund to be able to do emergency repairs so the people weren't affected. And this article will put the $100,000 back into their reserve fund.
All right, article number 9 was just
Article,
covered.
yep.
All right, so article number 10.
Article number 10, this is money, this is a reappropriation of money that was previously appropriated by town meeting, no cost to town meeting, and that is they had $151,345.27 left from the Spring Street Water Main construction project. And they want to transfer that and use that for the Dyke Road, the water main that they're putting on Dyke Road that we talked about earlier. So they want to add that 151 to the other money that they have in an article to be able to replace the water main.
Article number 11.
Article number 11. So, as folks know, the Board of Selectmen, the Select Board, approved $4 million worth of ARPA funds for water and sewer projects. Then we had to go out for the emergency sewer repair. They borrowed. Originally, they were going to borrow $3 million. They did $2 million, and then there's $1 million that was authorized that they can spend, and they were asking town meetings blessing to allow them to use the next $1 million to replace sewer lines. You know, when they started looking at the sewer, because of the, not that I'm an expert from going to all these meetings though and listen to them talk, the sewer pipes are made out of cement. They rot because of the acid and the sand and stuff like that. The bottoms basically rot out, so they want to replace Ashburton Street and a number of other streets so that they have the money, and now's the time to invest, because if we ever lost the sewer, that would be a major issue for the town. So they're asking for town meeting to approve that so they can make the necessary repairs.
All right, article number 12.
It's a very simple article. So under the federal ARPA funds, if you want to commingle like SRF funds, which are water funds, etc., or town meeting funds with ARPA funds, the feds are requiring that if you're a town, town meeting has to vote to authorize the commingling of funds, so that's what this does.
All right, Article number 13. Let me just talk a little bit about this. I have had an opportunity to speak with the citizen who has petitioned for this article. This is an article having to do with nuclear war and the threat that nuclear war could present not only to the town of Marshfield, the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, and the petitioner's words, the future of humanity and the planet. It is styled as a resolution. And if you look at the moderator's rules, and I encourage everyone, I know that I don't expect you to read them in their entirety the night before the special town meeting, but if you look at the moderator's rules, resolutions are traditionally held to the end of the meeting. And resolutions traditionally are such that the resolution is presented and there's no debate. So I am, and I've been conferring even today with town council as to how to handle this particular article, and I'll announce a final decision in that regard when the article is called. I am going to make certain it is at the end of the meeting, and I will tell you all that it's quite lengthy. You're going to see a series of whereas clauses that I haven't counted them all, but there's several going on to a second page. I'm going to move that portion of this article as read, or as written, as written. And the only things that I'm going to read at the time of this is called are the sections where it starts, be it resolved that. And that starts at the bottom of page 8 on your warrant and goes over to the top of page 9. So please pay attention to that. Read this ahead of time. The petitioner feels very strongly about this. But once the article is passed, it goes to the the select board, who is required to hold a hearing within 30 days thereafter. Let's talk about Article number 14.
Want me to speak about that one, Mr.
Yeah,
Moderator?
so if you would, about 13, if you want to address that, and 14, if you'd like.
Sure. I mean, Article 13 is a resolution, and as a resolution, it's not debatable. So the applicant will make their presentation 5 minutes, and I understand that there may be a request for somebody that's not a resident to speak on the article, and that'll be up to town meeting to decide. But as we do with our other resolutions, it'll be presented just the way the moderator indicated, and we'll take a yes or no vote on it.
All right, and that's a majority vote.
Majority vote,
Yes.
correct. Article 14, I spoke to the petitioner, Kerry Harrison. She's presenting this article having to do with the naming of the island at the end of Plymouth and Ocean Streets. She's asking further that town meeting authorize the installation of an irrigation system. Apparently there's an existing hydrant in the island that the Department of Public Works has allowed them to tap into to keep that watered. They would like to have a more significant irrigation system in the island. They indicate that they'll be responsible for all the costs and expenses associated with it. Unfortunately, this is an article that kind of tests the limit of the authority of town meeting. Town meeting is the legislative body of the town. In this particular circumstance, the Board of Public Works is the executive authority of the town. And this article will be voted on, debated, and regardless of how it, regardless of whether it passes or not, this is ultimately up to the Board of Public Works to decide how to implement this request, both as to the naming rights and as to whether irrigation is allowed. My understanding is the Board of Public Works has taken a vote on this, and it's 2 votes against, 1 in favor. Again, you'll probably hear from Board of Public Works members at town meeting as to their rationale. Regardless of what we all say, this will be voted on but the implementation, as I said, will be ultimately dependent on the Board of Public Works.
All right, so there you have it, town meeting members. 14 articles on the special town meeting warrant. I would urge you, please, as a matter of courtesy, arrive at the special town meeting as early as you can. Please, even as early as 6:30, get checked in, get comfortable as far as your seating. If you want to maintain, appropriate distance in view of, the fact that we may be through with COVID, but COVID's not through with us. That way allow you to get your seating. You'll be able to look at and review any handouts that are at the front of the entrance to the auditorium, and you'll be prepared to go. We'll start promptly at 7 o'clock. And as I said, my objective is to conclude this meeting in one night. If it looks as if that's not going to happen, but we're close, I will call for a vote to take up business after 10:30 so that we can conclude. I do this as a matter of efficiency, certainly as a matter of cost, because there is a cost associated with the holding of a town meeting, and as a matter of courtesy for people who can only go one night and they can't get babysitters for a second night, or there's our senior citizens, and it's quite an effort to get them to the meeting and from the meeting. And I do this as a courtesy to them. So with your help, your assistance, and your cooperation, let's see if we can't do this all in one evening. I'll see you on Monday, October 17. Remember, it is at the auditorium at the high school. It's not at the gym any longer. All right, see you then.
Good night.
Take care.